Okay, so a huge part of India's economy is getting a major facelift. Today, we're going to break down the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Act of 2023. This is a brand new law that's going to reshape how millions of people work, bank, and even farm. So yeah, let's dive right in. So you have to ask, what's the core challenge here? I mean, how do you take this massive, complex sector that really touches millions of lives? We're talking everything from the farmers who rely on co-op banks to you and me buying from co-op dairies. And how do you bring it into the modern age? Well, that's the big question this new amendment is trying to answer. And to really get a sense of how big a deal this is, you need to know this isn't some small tweak. Nope, the 2023 Act is a complete overhaul of the law from 2002 that's been running the show for multi-state cooperatives for the last 20 years. So, what's the end game here? What are they trying to achieve? Well, it pretty much boils down to three key things. Better governance, so improving how these societies are actually run. More transparency, making their operations crystal clear. And finally, greater accountability, holding the leadership responsible. These three things, they're the pillars of this entire new law. All right, so let's get into the first big change. This one's all about strengthening the democracy within the co-ops themselves. And it all starts with making their elections way fairer and much more consistent. To do that, the law is creating a whole new body, the Cooperative Election Authority. The best way to think about it is like an independent umpire, right? It's set up by the central government, and its only job is to oversee all the elections. The whole point is to take the election process out of the hands of the societies themselves, to make sure it's totally impartial. So what's this authority going to do day to day? Well, it's got a really clear three-part job. First, it's going to run the board elections from start to finish. Second, it's going to keep a close eye on the voter lists to make sure they're accurate. And third, and this is crucial, it has the power to tell a society what to do to guarantee the whole process is free and fair. And this new law really gives that mandate some teeth. Boards can't just delay elections whenever they feel like it anymore. Now they're legally required to go to the authority and request an election a full 6 months before their term is up. This is all about making sure power changes hands on time, every time. Okay, next up, boosting accountability and transparency. This part is all about giving members a much clearer window into what's happening inside their society and giving them a much stronger voice when things just aren't right. A huge piece of this puzzle is the creation of a second brand new role, the Cooperative Ombudsman. This is an official appointed by the government whose entire job is to investigate and rule on complaints from members. So if you're a member and you feel like your rights are being ignored, you now have a dedicated person you can go to for help. Now, this isn't just some symbolic position. The ombudsman has real power. They can investigate complaints about pretty much anything, deposits, benefits, you name it. And here's the kicker. They have to wrap up their investigation within 3 months, and whatever they decide, the society has to comply within just 1 month. Those tight deadlines, that's what makes this a really powerful tool for members. And it doesn't stop with just complaints. To really ramp up the transparency, every society now has to appoint a cooperative information officer. This person's job is simple. Give members the information they ask for about how the society is being run. It's about giving members a direct line to the facts. All right, let's talk about the money. The third major theme of this whole reform is making sure the entire cooperative sector is financially stable and healthy for the long run. And to do that, the Act is rolling out something called the Cooperative Rehabilitation, Reconstruction, and Development Fund. That's a mouthful, I know, but you can just think of it as a giant safety net, a revival fund for any cooperative societies that get into financial trouble. So, where's the cash for this fund coming from? Well, it's coming from the sector itself. The profitable multi-state co-ops will now have to chip in 1% of their net profit to this fund every single year, with a cap at 1 crore rupees. And its purpose is laid out super clearly. The money in this fund is specifically for reviving sick co-ops. So the idea here is pretty simple but powerful. The stronger, successful societies are helping to build a safety net for the entire ecosystem. It ensures that if a co-op is struggling, it has a chance to get back on its feet. Okay, so we've talked about all these new authorities, new rules, and new funds. But what does this all actually mean for the people on the ground, for the members and the directors? Let's break down what this looks like in practice. So if you're a member, the wins are pretty clear. You get an ombudsman for your complaints, an information officer to get answers, and more confidence in your elections. But for the directors on the board, well, the game has changed. There are much stricter rules for misconduct, way more responsibility for holding elections on time, and they can even be held personally liable for financial losses. Oh, and they can't hire their relatives anymore. It's a fundamental shift in who's responsible for what. So, when you put it all together, what's the big picture? It's a completely new rule book. It's been designed from the ground up to make cooperatives more democratic in how they elect their leaders, way more accountable to their members, and, hopefully, more financially resilient as a whole sector. Which, of course, brings us to the final and most important question. On paper, this is a really comprehensive framework. It's got new authorities, new funds, new rules, the whole shebang. But will all these pieces come together to actually create a stronger, more trusted cooperative future for India? Well, I guess only time will tell.